What's up, world? It's me, your girl, Angela. Welcome to the BTrue2U Talk Show. You know what we do. Go ahead and invite your mama, your sister, your cousin, your auntie, your brother. And don't forget your daddy, too, honey, because he might want to be a part of this segment, honey. Y'all, thank you again for being a part of this BTrue2U Talk. You guys are my co-hosts, and I thank you for standing with me. Today, I have another special guest, y'all. I am telling you the truth. We don't bring anyone on this platform that we don't believe in, that we feel like we can stand behind. Now, this young lady that I'm going to bring I have been in her life ever since she was born, y'all. I've literally known her since she was born. We are family, friends. Her mom and my mom live right next to each other. We're so close, y'all, that they had a gate so we can go, an opening gate so we can go in between one house to the other without having to go around. We're close. Never mind. Let me just bring her forward. Please welcome my special guest, Chandra Kydd.
Thank you, Angie.
Hey, Chandra.
So privileged to be here, my love.
I'm gonna call her Shan, y'all, because that's what we call her. But don't you call
right?
her?
Because I cannot call her Angie. This is family. So this is love. We home.
Yeah.
So
thank you. First of all, I want to tell you thank you for coming.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for coming and sharing on the platform. Look into the camera and introduce yourself to the people.
So definitely, I welcome all of you and thank you guys for joining us today. And I am so honored to be here. My name is Chandra Kydd, and I am the CEO of Smart Concepts. I am an author, I am an adult educator, and I am award-winning in that aspect. I am a motivational speaker, so I get the opportunity to go out and speak and train other educators, as well as motivate adult learners in the art and the blessing of lifelong learning. So, and I also have an online academy. So just a lot of different things that I'm engaged in, but it is all for the mindset of growth and lifelong learning.
Awesome. Look at you. You so grown. I mean, you real grown.
It was bound to happen. Hattie Mays, I'm Hayes' daughter.
Okay, every spit up, but listen, you know, like they say, I'm my mom twin. You're definitely your mom twin. Yes. We hear that all the time.
It rubbed off.
Yeah. And so, congratulations on your book.
Yes, thank you.
You're author, and I love that about you. But one of your books stood out to me.
Okay.
And this is why I was like, I gotta have you share that. And that book is Don't Get Bitter, Get Better.
Get Better. Yeah. Of the two books, that's the one that's actually selling the best. Mm-hmm. And I really and truly, from the feedback that I've received, is that people will say, oh, I identify with such and such a character, Mr. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so. So, you know, a lot of the male characters in the book, because this is my story, mm-hmm. All right? This book was not written, honestly, the book was not, in my mind, it wasn't going to be a book. It was me writing through pain. It was meant to be just a journal, if
like
you
a diary
would.
to
It
yourself?
was meant to just me to get some things out. And
it was also meant for you for healing for yourself.
That was what it was meant, because honestly, my heart was absolutely shattered. I was broken. I was in an absolutely unfamiliar territory, and I am not one to go out and just, you know, tell everybody my business. Not at all. You know, I'm the kind of person, I just keep it moving. I just get myself involved with something productive, and I just move forward through progress. Mm-hmm. But I could not sleep, literally could not sleep for 3 entire weeks. No matter how I laid there, I stared at the ceiling, I put on relaxing music, you know, I tried a hot tea, you know, everything. And I just could not, I couldn't sleep. And so one day I just say, you know what, let me just get up and just write something down. I got onto my computer and I started typing. And that one night, I pumped out 3 chapters. In one, when I say it poured out. It poured out. And it was da 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 da. And then after I looked back and I reflected, and then I said, well, why don't I just go and do a little bit of, you know, add a little bit of research behind it. Let me see what are some strategies that I could, you know, add to this diary, this personal thing that nobody's ever gonna read. And I did that, and then before I knew it, it finished. And I literally wrote the entire book in 3 weeks, from start to finish because I couldn't sleep, because next thing I know, it got so into my bones that I was writing it on my lunch break. I was writing it when I was waiting for something. I was writing it while I was waiting for the chicken to bake or whatever. Any little moment I had, I was looking forward to getting back to it.
It reminds me when you say it got so much in your bone. It's like Jeremiah said, it was like fire shut up in my bones. And so this thing was burning.
It really was.
And that lets you know it had to come out. It was necessary.
Right. And at the completion of it, something said, now publish it. I said, the devil is a lie. I said, absolutely not, because now my mama is gonna read this and she gonna find out. I know that's really what I said to myself.
Wait now.
That's what I said.
What I want to say is that you know it was a devil, but something said you could call it something said, but it ain't something said, Shad. It was the Holy Ghost.
It was, but in my mind, because I was so resistant to the idea, I was like, no, no. Because now my mama gonna know about the boy I snuck in the house.
Oh.
Yeah, because I told it. When I say I told it all because it wasn't meant
for anybody to read.
Exactly.
So you wasn't being selective of what you said.
I said it all.
You know how you say just running your mouth?
I was running my mouth. And so when something say no, publish it. And so, you know how you're having a little tit-tat with God, you're like, all right. I said, look, Lord, well, I tell you what, I don't know how to publish a book. So what you gonna say about that, right? So that was my mind. I said, like, get off my back, Lord, get off my back. And then he's like, all of a sudden, after I, jokingly said that, my friend called me, who's published a couple of books. She called me out of the blue and she says, hey girl, how that thing you got writing going on? I say, child, something said I need to publish, but I said, but girl, I'm not paying that thing. She said, oh, well, you need to do this. And she just started outlining the process. And I say, Lord, you funny. But, and at that point, I was like, okay, Holy Spirit, I'll be obedient and I'll publish it. I said, but Lord, don't let my mama read it now. I said, because listen, I may be 40-something, but I'm still scared of my mama. I'm still scared of my mama. So I said, Lord, don't let my mama read the book, But I really and truly, but something said you have to, because you writing it was for you, but publishing it will be for the many people who feel like they're the only ones going through a similar situation, who are holding on, who are not getting better, they're getting bitter.
Yes.
So even the title was literally, it came to me in such a divine manner, and I was like, okay, I hear you, I'll do it. No matter what it takes, I'll get it done. And I was nervous. It was my first time. I had no clue how to do it, but I did, and my friend outlined it for me. And then I got into research, because I'm a big advocate of getting up at 4 a.m. I'm a big advocate of getting up at 4 a.m. So this is time when I do research and learn and all of that, because I can't spout, lifelong learning if I myself don't love to learn. So I love to learn. So I started researching, finding out what to do, and I started, getting the ball rolling. And sure enough, I had gotten a response from some publishers who were like, we would like to publish your book.
When you decided to publish the book, did you try to go back and snatch things out of it before you?
I did. I did, and there actually were a couple parts that I went back and tweaked, near the end. And so what my friend came back and said, well, one day you need to redo this book and do a part 2, where you add, because there are some other parts that I left out. I didn't go into as much detail as I could have, but then she said, you know what, because she read it, she proofed it and everything, and she read it a few times, and she said, you know what, you could have, add this and that. And I said, well, I took, and she saw several revisions, so she saw well, didn't you have something about that before? And I was like, yeah, girl, I took it out. So she's like, no, you when you're going to redo this one, a few years from now, and you're going to add these things back and expound upon it.
Did you take it out because of shame?
Yeah. I took it out because of embarrassment. But also, I think now that it's been out and I've gotten a lot of feedback from people, I think that there are some things that I need to add to. I need to extend certain things. And for example, there's a part, and all the guys have a Mr. name. They're Mr. something. And there's one gentleman named Mr. Too Good to Be True. And so someone had made a comment. She bought the book, read the book, and she met a gentleman, and this guy has been absolutely amazing to her. Never had a man to treat her like this guy is treating her. But she started holding back because she was afraid that my Mr. Too Good was going to be her Mr. Too Good to Be True.
Oh, okay. The book that okay, first of all, y'all, the book is good. We're not going to tell you details about the book, but the reason that we're here is because of the book. Right. The book brought purpose, right? And so you said some things like it was your story, but it's not for you anymore.
Right.
It's for somebody else. And that's
Correct.
what life is. We live our life to witness to someone else. Everything we go through is to bring somebody else out.
Correct.
And so now God got you sharing this story to try to bring people out. But what is it that you're coming out of?
So, in the book, and I mentioned that I had to go back, and here is, the book itself. The thing that I had to go back and where I said I needed to add some elements of research and some, other information is because once I got to the point of the mindset that it has to go beyond helping myself, there are parts in the book that are called takeaways. And so, for example, one of the gentlemen in the book, I mentioned a guy who was in my life. You fall in love, and then but that relationship gets you into debt. I got into big debt, after this relationship, as a result of this relationship. And so what I wanted to do is make sure that I explained in detail how I dug out of the debt. Because whenever you go through a trauma, you have, that fight or flight reaction. For some people, it's the fight. For some people, it's the flight. Whether it be you run and hide and you shut yourself up and you cut yourself off from the world, whether it be you go into depression, whether it be you start self-hating yourself, all of these different scenarios. Or you could have the fight where you're like, I am not going to let this kill me. And so a lot of times my reaction is, I am not going to let this. That might be the hattie mate.
That's the hattie.
That's the hattie mate. Well, if you're going to do what you're going to do, so I'm like, what? So my mindset is, the best way to deal with the situation, like I say, I usually take on a project or do something that's productive, and that helps me to grow beyond the pain and the trauma. But with the book, I wanted to make sure that I am providing advice. I am not just wanting to tell my business. I tell my business to let readers know that I am not some ologist, psychologist, dicologist, whatever. I am a real woman who went through some things, made some mistakes, and truly learned from them by educating myself. Education is critical. And it's little things that you can do to just elevate yourself to get better, because I know a lot of people take the other route, revenge, being, begrudging, trying to get back and all of that. And I talk about in the book, that way it takes you down a further hurtful path.
Right.
And so I've been able to, and it's been amazing that the amount of people, and the thing is because I truly am trying to help people, there are often times where I'm giving the books away, because it's not about becoming a millionaire. It's about really and truly helping someone. And so I am able to be a light to people who are hurting, but they just don't tell anybody, because we don't tell people.
Yeah, what would you say to somebody like that who's going through, and maybe people may not get a full understanding as far as what brought you to the point of writing, right? What is it that brought you to that point?
Really and truly, the hurt that I was going through, I just got tired of not telling anybody. I just got tired of always, because I am, oftentimes in my family, I'm the strong one. And people think, she ain't got it all together. She ain't smart. She ain't got education, and she's college, and she's traveled and all these things. And it just from the outside world, it looks like I'm just perfect. I'm a good girl, and I've always been the good girl and doing the right. And I just got to the point where I'm like, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure to be the good one all the time. And not saying that I wanted to go be bad, but I just wanted to just let folks know that I'm not perfect, and I really messed up to the point where it could have really destroyed my life.
Trying to be perfect costs you a lot.
And it cost me a lot in my self-esteem.
Right.
It cost me, that's where it cost me the most, in my self-esteem, because I internalized it to think that I am always the problem, that I am falling short, especially when it comes to relationships and men. And then how do I overcome it? My overcoming was, let me move on to the next chapter. Let me accomplish something. And this is one of the reasons why I traveled. This is the reasons why I accomplished certain things, because I was going through something. So as a way to fix it,
you ran from it.
I maybe ran from it. I ran from it and even ran towards better, because I didn't want that anymore. I wanted to shift and pivot towards a different trajectory in my life. So that made a big difference for me.
Which is a different, because a lot of people, when they in trauma, they trauma bond, or they cause that on somebody else. But instead of that, when you say don't get bitter, get better, you literally did that as far as yourself from the inside. I made sure that you went for the greater.
Right. Because I realized in the message throughout the book, I constantly echo your mindset. It makes all the difference. For example, I'll give you a quick scenario. I had a young woman who found out that her boyfriend had cheated on her. She found out, she caught him in the act, and her immediate response was to jump up on him. She got it in. She put some blow in, and it could have been a moment where he called the police and pressed charges. And she having a child, that could have been a devastating blow to her child, because at the end of the day, the children are the ones who suffer the most. Right? So he would have gone on about his life and moved on with other ones. She might have had who knows what charges, what scenarios, consequences as a result of lashing out in that way, but her child would have suffered most. So this book was an opportunity for me to say, no ma'am, don't do that again. Change your mindset. Thank God you found out now, before you guys had children together, before you guys got married. So if you change your mindset, you should be actually saying thank you for revealing who you are now, as opposed to 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when there's so much more invested in my time and in my life with you. So I said, change your mindset, and you will realize that this was actually an opportunity for you to walk from something that might hurt you way worse down the line.
Yeah, that is so true too, because a lot of time our emotions just overtake us.
Yeah.
And we're human, and so
yes.
You said something earlier. You said that a lot of things, as far as you trying to be perfect, cause you to suffer for yourself, as low self-esteem. Talk about that. Talk about how some people will see you trying to be good could also turn into low self-esteem.
Right. So one of my issues that I dealt with all my life was obesity. I've been heavy. Maybe since I've been out of diapers, I have nobody's every picture. But every picture I see at my mama house, I'm on the chunky side. Fat. I'm pretty hot and tempted, right? But I'm thick, layered, extra, And so, that alone, and my mom is not a mom that kept us in the name brand stuff. We weren't rocking the Nikes and all that. I was wearing the, the
Bobos.
Yeah, with the top matched the bottom, and it's all coordinated, the swap shop and all of that. So, we just didn't have the trendy things, and that alone, especially when you're heavy, kids are mean. And when you're growing up, you're always too something. Me, I was too fat, too black, I had a I had a Jura curl.
Girl, we could have been sisters.
I had all of these things that people constantly told me negative. I was too. Yes, they were like, these are what, I had an overbite because I sucked my thumb, and I had all of these issues, and it just constantly, my self-esteem was so low. So when I started to get into the realm of dating and being with guys, I was never good enough. No matter who the guy was, I was never good enough, because in my mind, I'm too fat, I'm too black, I'm not stylish enough, I'm not one of the pretty girls, I didn't have all of these things. And so a part of my healing journey is when just before I hit 40, I decided that I was going to lose some weight for real this time, and because I've, yo-yoed over the years, lose 10, gain 15, but I've always been heavy, heavy, heavy. And I got sick and tired of not being pleased with me, despite what anybody else says. I want to just look in the mirror and say, I look good. And so I wanted to make sure that I was healthy, because I was not healthy. They're telling me I'm borderline diabetic, they're telling me I'm overweight, you're telling me all of these different things. And it was important to me that I take care of myself, my mental and my physical self. And I didn't think about these things. Nobody really comes to you and talk about mental health. Nobody talks about these things. We only start really, at least I only started really hearing about mental health since COVID.
Yeah.
But before that, nobody talks about taking care of yourself, doing yourself, self-care, self-love, and all of that. So this is something that I wanted to make sure that I kind of lace gently throughout the book, because I talk about that confidence that I had to grow in myself, and that a lot of it came through my weight loss journey.
Hold on one moment. Hold on, you guys. We'll be right back. Hey, y'all. Hey.
Hi, guys.
You know, while we're here, we got something to say, and that's about July 18th and the 19th.
2-day retreat.
You do not want to miss this, honey. We're going to teach you how to take your glam to the next level. We're going to pamper you. We're going to take care of your mind, your body, your spirit, and your soul.
This is our Gracefully Growing retreat, which is going to be all about self-care.
And we're going to feed you. We're going to feed you Friday for our meet and greet. We're going to feed you breakfast. We're going to feed you lunch, and that is not it.
And you do not want to miss Saturday night, the gala.
And dress up, baby, because get ready for the camera, because you know how we do it.
Okay.
And it is only
$125.
That's right, $125. And you can get your ticket by Cash App and me at 954-298-0183. That is 954-298-0183.
Or you can Cash App me at SD O'Brien, OBRIEN 66.
Get your ticket, girl, because you don't want to miss it.
Bye.
Cancer Has No Boundaries annual event. The event is hosted by the Lewis sisters, Angela Lewis Warren, Sheila O'Brien, and Mary Lewis. The event is in honor of our mother, Willie Lewis, who beat lung cancer, and in honor of our uncle, the late Congressman, John Robert Lewis, who lost a fight to pancreatic cancer. Nominate someone you know that has fought the battle with cancer and won or fighting the battle, and someone who has nurtured a loved one during their journey of cancer. We would love to honor them.
November 1st, 2025. Time 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Cost $75. Thank you in advance.
So, Shan, before we went to break, you was going to tell us about your weight loss.
Right. So, that was important for me to do for myself. I took it personally, and I knew that the only true way to do this, because I have 3 babies, and what good is all the things in the world if I'm not healthy, if I don't have the energy to keep up. If I want to be there for my daughter's wedding, I want to be there for my son's weddings and the graduations and the grands and the great-grands and all of these things. I want legacy, but I want to be strong and healthy to see a lot of it come to pass. So I had to get my health in check. So while weight loss was the physical evidence, the tangible evidence, the health, I didn't want to be on any insulin. I didn't want to have to deal with the sleep apnea and put doctors talking about a face mask, and I didn't want to deal with any of that stuff. So I said the blood pressure is a major issue, right? I'm talking about very high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. And so I did not want to be dealing with these things anymore. So I knew that a big part of that, if I could get this weight under control, I can tackle some of these other issues.
How much did you lose?
It was the 80 pounds.
80
It
pounds?
was the 80 pounds. So that was, it was a lot. It was a lot. And it was hard to do at first. But once I lost 25, at that point, it was like, well, let's just keep going.
Okay.
At this point, it was like, hey, we got to flow at this point, because now, in order to have gotten to that part, I've already created a pattern of consistency. I just need to follow through.
What was your goal?
My goal was to get down to 145.
Okay.
Yes, so I hit 150. Last 5 pounds, I'm telling you, those last 5 pounds,
They hunting you.
They hunt me.
They're like, no, I don't want to go.
5 pounds, you know.
But you realize you look good regardless.
Yeah,
of the
oh
5
man,
pounds.
I tell you, I always, joke about it. And it's so funny because my students, because I've literally, and I'm so blessed, I've had literally thousands of students. And I run into them, and this is why I can't act a fool in the streets, because I run into students everywhere. And I'm talking about, I'm in Orlando running into students, I'm in Miami I'm everywhere, and I run into students. My waiters at the restaurant, they're in the grocery, they're everywhere. So when a lot of times they don't recognize me because they were my student when I was heavy. So I stare at them, because I never forget a student, I never forget their names. So I stare at them, and I can tell they're trying to figure out how they know me. And I'll be like, you know, their name is Kydd. And they be like, yeah. And I was like, hey. And I'm like, hey. You know, and then it'll finally dawn on them, Miss Kydd. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you look so different. And so it's always a really great reaction when folks say, you look good. And then they'll say, oh, you didn't look bad before. You didn't look bad. You didn't look bad. You know, fix it. Not that you look bad before, but you look really good. You look, and they say your skin glows and you just look healthy.
I don't remember you being, I don't remember. What size were you?
I was I had got up to I was teetering mostly 18, 20. I had my heaviest, I was at 22.
Really?
So I was 22. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So,
okay. Let me just tell the people, don't come for her, okay? Because just because she's saying that she was not happy at the size of an 18, 16, or 22, that had nothing to do with you. You know, we're not trying to make you feel bad because you're okay with your weight, or if you have weight. What we're saying is that you got to do what's best for you.
Right.
It got to the point where I was 173 pounds. I didn't like it, and so I started getting weight loss shots, and I'm not ashamed of that. I got weight loss shots. And so right now, I don't exercise to keep the weight off. I exercise to keep my mind together.
Right. And that's really a very powerful tool. You know, I know folks have all kinds of issues where they struggle with focus. But if folks would literally start exercising, you know, your mind will focus, because all of the blood and all of that adrenaline and all of that hard work that you're doing, it really motivates the brain. It really brings it to action. All those neurons are really firing off when in the midst of exercise. So I go oftentimes to the gym just because I need a new idea. And so that's where that's where a lot of creative ideas are really being birthed, is on the treadmill. It's in the gym. It's when I'm pushing the lawnmower.
Okay, Hannah.
All right, yes, that's my mom and them, you know, cutting hedges and all of that. So that is the best place to be inspired, to be encouraged. You know, get you some music on that motivates you, and get on that and it could be walking around. And that's really not, and I want to say this, weight loss does not have to happen in a gym.
It don't.
The biggest weight loss that I achieved was walking around my community. And that alone was encouraging, because I noticed things and I've been living in the same neighborhood for over 16 years, but I noticed things that I never noticed before. And I got to say good morning to my neighbors, because I was up walking at 4:30 in the morning, and people started looking forward to seeing me. Listen, the power of 4 a.m.
Yeah, I'll get up for 5:30 prayer, and I don't even do that every day. But when I get up at 5:30 prayer, but it's just it
hard,
is.
The struggle is real, and I have to say in this other book that I wrote, Go Back to School and Get Better. I actually talk about that in detail, because a lot of folks who struggle with going back to school, if your class is in the morning, they struggle with getting up to get to class. And so I talk about how to get your body correct, how to, because I am really big advocate of the power of 4 a.m. You know, something about 4 a.m., not 5, not 6, 4 a.m. because 4 a.m. is a sacrifice. And people say, well, how do you get up at 5 a.m.? I say, well, I get up at 5 a.m. because I changed my mindset at 4 a.m. because I changed my mindset. People see 4 a.m. as, oh man, I got to get out of bed for, how am I do? But I look at 4 a.m. as my me time. At 4 a.m., the world is quiet. The atmosphere is focused. You're at a higher spiritual level at that point. My children are in the bed. No phones are ringing. I am absolutely focused. This could be a time where, and it doesn't have to be a time where you're doing something wild and crazy. It could be that bubble bath at 4 a.m. It could be that book you've been talking about reading forever. It could be that time where you do something just for yourself.
It is a great time to start declaring and decreeing.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking affirmation of your life as well.
Definitely.
Between 12 a.m. and 5.
Great prayer time at 4 a.m. So this is, you got to change your mindset, and then you just simply work towards that goal. But in order to achieve that, you literally have to get up at that time 7 days a week.
Awesome. 7 days a week. So let me ask you this here, Chandra.
That's okay.
If you had to tell a woman that's out there that feel like low self-esteem, or feel like she has to be perfect, or if she feel like weight loss is something that she needs but don't know how to quite get there, what would you tell them?
Well, I would honestly say, first of all, perfect, there's no such thing, right? Who can be perfect, and what's the benefit of perfection? What you have to do is you have to find what makes you happy, what gives you ultimate peace. To me, that's the key. Peace and joy and purpose. If you discover these things, you will be happy. You may not have the biggest house on the block. You may not have the fanciest car in the driveway. But if you have peace, you have achieved something amazing, because a lot of people have not one, but 5 cars in the driveway. And they have a 5, 6, 10 bedroom house and absolutely no peace. And so they have no joy. So they don't really have a good life. They got good stuff, but they don't have a good life. So when you deal with your self-esteem, you have to ask yourself, what is it that will provide me the greatest peace in my life? And let me do a little bit of research to find out how to obtain that. So whether it be, I'm not happy with my hair, do a little research and find out how you can do something with your hair. Maybe something out there, products available or practices, or maybe you need to take some certain supplements. Maybe you're deprived of certain nutrients that would help your hair. Maybe you're not happy with your skin or your body, or maybe you're not pleased with your level of education. Maybe you don't feel like you know enough to be successful in certain areas. You have to change your mindset and find what works for you, because what works for one doesn't work for everybody. And what you got to stop doing is comparing yourself to everybody else.
That's real.
Yeah, even if they got the 5-bedroom house, you don't know what's in those 5 bedrooms.
You don't know what it took to get them 5
And that's what I'm saying. So, you know, we have to be careful even what we pray for, because if you pray for $1 million, if you're not prepared for $1 million, you'll have $1 million for a little while, but you might end up in more debt before you had $1 million. So everything you want in life, including high self-esteem, you have to not compare yourself. And don't let anyone else bring up your mistakes, because people will do that in a quickness. They will bring up all the mistakes you made. So you have to find ways to separate yourself from people who bring down your self-esteem, because it is like poison. Yeah. And
so when we go to Don't Get Bitter, Get Better, what was the price worth it?
So say that again.
Was the price worth it? The things that you went through, was it worth it?
Yeah, it was worth it because of the takeaways. So after every chapter of the book, there's a section called the takeaways. And the takeaways are the lessons that I learned. Had I not gone through these things, I would not have learned the lessons. And because I have a daughter, I can now give her the pearls of wisdom to say, hey, baby, don't go this way, because I've been down that street, and that street leads to thus, thus, and thus. So I tell my children and I know my company is Smart Kydd Concepts, but I would like you guys to strive for wisdom, because there's a difference between being smart and being wise. Smart people make mistakes, they learn from it. But wise people find smart people to learn to avoid the mistakes. So I want my children to learn from me. And this is why I have my kids around me a lot when I'm traveling, when I'm doing these things. I want them to see and grow and learn, and me be the example. So it's really important that I learn from my mistakes. So it was worth it.
It was worth it.
It was worth it for sure.
Good, good. So tell the people how they can find you, purchase your book, and connect with you on social media.
So if folks want to, I have social media. I have Facebook. I am on Instagram, YouTube, big following on YouTube, because I create a lot of content, a lot of for lifelong learning, how to help people go back to school, specifically adults, how to help folks get their school diploma and so forth. But they can find me. My website is www.smartkyddconcepts.com. That's www.smartkyddconcepts.com.
What I love about this too, as I listen, you're an educator, and you're taking your personal struggles, your personal loss, and you're really turning it into education, because you can tell that education is your first love.
For sure, it is all ingrained. It was not definitely. I was, my degree is in journalism, so that's where the writing.
Okay.
So this is giving me a chance to go back to the first love, the original love, because I went into education, but I thought I was going to be a big PR, journalist and so forth. So this is giving me an opportunity to kind of rope in that original love and desire. But education is not something that just happens between four walls. It is everything that happens to you and how you respond to it.
During life.
Yeah.
You learn daily.
You learn all the way through different modalities. Even folks watching this podcast, this show, they're able to learn something from you. They're learning something from me. This is school. They're in school right now because they're learning something. That's what education is all about. You learn it through YouTube. You learn it through conversations. You learn it through mentorship. You learn it through experience, because that's what education is all about.
Yeah, you said one thing while we were talking off, and I want you to talk about this. You said trouble is magic.
Mistakes are magic. Mistakes are magic. Yeah. So with that, that's going to be a series of books that we're going to produce for young people.
Okay.
Yeah, because we, my creative director Carrie came up with this concept, Smart Kydd Concepts. See, this concept to because the message that we're talking about, get better, because that's the theme of Smart Kydd Concepts. Get better in all aspects, not just going back to school, because school is all throughout life. But she said, what about the young, because her background is elementary education. And so she's seeing what the kids are going through. And she's like, Chandra, these babies are going through some things. And I have my background in middle school education. I was a middle school educator for years. And I thought about it, and I said, you are so right, especially at the middle school level. They go through a lot mentally and emotionally. That's a very, very tough situation in middle school. And she said, we need to help write something for these young people, because their self-esteem is really low. They're engaging in a lot of things, then they're being exposed to a lot. They're putting themselves in a scenario that they ought not to be at such young ages,
because they want to be accepted.
They want to be like what they see on social media, a lot of it. And they want to be a part of the in crowd. They want the followers, and they're willing to do things that are not good to get the likes, which may even hurt them even when they become an adult. And they don't see it, they don't know it, they don't think that way, because children can sometimes be impulsive. And they feel embarrassed.
Some adults can be impulsive.
That is true. That is true. But we can sometimes really make our lives a little bit more difficult. So she said, let's do this. And I said, one of the things that she said was, we're going to do a book that says mistakes are magic. And I was like,
I like that.
I said, when she said, I was like, let's do it. And I'm very like, let's do it. That's just kind of how I always like, let's get her done. Let's do it. So when she said it, even though our focus has always been adult education and lifelong learning, when she said it, and I was like, we're going to make it happen.
Hey, the word said everything works together for your good.
That's it. I said, I see a need, feel a need. That's it. So if we can help someone, doesn't matter the age, let's do it.
Let's do it. You ought to get that branded. Let's do it. Nike's got Just Do It.
Yeah.
You can have
Let's Do
Let's
It.
Do It.
Well,
Okay.
normally I say no grit, no glory.
Okay.
No grit, no glory.
So no pain,
No gain.
No gain. So
For
I get
sure.
that. So you're glittering, honey.
Yes,
You
I'm
glittering.
Listen, God is doing some things, and I am excited to just sometimes bask and just observe and say, God, you doing that?
Because you don't
You're
went
all
to
in the
California
midst.
for
Yes, Los Angeles just came from Los Angeles, the LA Times Festival of Books. Did a book signing there, which was marvelous, very
going to
encouraging.
London?
And going to London.
Come through.
Yes,
You better go. You're gonna be
ma'am.
Dr. Kydd in a minute.
Yes, and I've done had an opportunity to do quite a few speaking engagements, quite a few speaking engagements around the community and book signs around the community. I'll be at Barnes and Noble soon. We're trying to make that happen.
Okay, y'all stay tuned.
Yes, Fort Lauderdale, Barnes and Noble, because people kept, when you gonna be local? When you gonna do a book signing local? And I was like, you're right. I got to take care of the house, right?
Oh, so you never did a book signing?
I never did a book signing.
Okay.
No, I never did a local book signing. Well, no, let me rephrase that. I never did a big book signing.
Okay.
I've done some in, like, I did one in Pompano, like really small, but I'm ready to, like, okay, now we're doing LA, we're doing UK.
Okay, let's do a USA.
Let's do SoFlo. We gonna put SoFlo on. We gonna put Lauderdale.
Okay.
Because this is home.
Yeah.
You can't do better for the neighbors and don't do good at your house.
How to do better.
Yeah.
Okay, get better, do better. Okay, don't be
Yes.
bitter. I love that. I don't know why. That's just, don't be bitter, get better.
Yes.
And so often we do, we be bitter and we don't understand the bitterness will only hurt us. We wanted to hurt others people, but that bitterness will literally overtake you
Yes.
and destroy you. So we don't want that. Shan, thank you so very much for sharing on our platform today.
Yes.
We're so grateful. Before we end, do you have anything you want to leave with the people?
Yes. I just want to just really once again express how important it is that no matter what you're dealing with and what you're going through, everything is a season, a chapter. You always get an opportunity. When you wake up in the morning, you have a chance for the page to turn and get to the next chapter. What you want to do is learn from anything that's happened in your life and find out how you can get better, because nothing really destroys you unless you allow it to. It's all in how you see it and you look at it through your mindset. So change your mindset, and the things that you think really hurt you might have been a bit of a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
It gave you an opportunity to get out of chapter 6 and move over into chapter 7, because chapter 7 is going to be a good chapter.
It's good stuff.
You got to get to chapter 7, but you have to do your best to just survive, and not only survive but thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, you will now become a light, and someone is always watching you.
Period.
So you will be the person where everybody say, is that so and so? Well, I thought such and such happened in their life, but yet you're growing and you're elevating. That is going to inspire people you may never even meet.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Girl, you heard me. Don't get bitter, get better. Follow Shan. You won't be disappointed. Stay tuned for the book signing. And make sure you do what? Support. Sharing is caring. So share this broadcast. You can send us some stars too, y'all. We greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you back here next Monday at 7 p.m. Remember, in everything you do, always be true to you. I love you and I mean it. Bye.